Spell check can't help when you type a similar word.
Well,
It
doesn't.
gets
Yes.
the wrong words.
Well, we are live now,
Oh,
and you're
okay.
right. I
Hey.
do get the wrong words. Hi, Facebook. All right, welcome to
Howdy.
Twin Cities Real Estate Show. We're talking about my spelling abilities. Does not have anything to do with my abilities as a real estate agent,
For the record.
for the record. All right.
None of us could be professionals without spell check.
That is true.
Especially when writing descriptions, property descriptions. Got to have spell check.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you end up with suspicious spaces.
Mm-hmm. Remember, we're not professionals. We're real estate professionals.
All right. Today, we're going to be talking about the numbers that matter when selling a home. And I think this is a good one because we're going to break down some misnomers and things that we constantly hear out there. You know, what price per square foot pops up a lot, and how that is, you know, a stat that can be used, but how it can also be used in ways that's not really beneficial. Also, how quickly a home may sell, and how that can affect price, how people perceive that sometimes. We'll get into commissions because everybody who's selling a home thinks about this. But also, again, break down some misnomers. And I got some really interesting stats that I just ran yesterday regarding commissions that I think will surprise a lot of people out there. So, you ready to do the show?
No. What is the Ghostbusters line? No job is too big. No fee is too big.
Hey, they got rid of the ghosts. Right. Okay, here we go. There we go. So many different windows open. By the way, if you have any questions during the show and you're watching us live, that you can type those in and we can take a look during the break and try to address them. Keep them clean, people. Keep them clean. All right. Here we go. Are you thinking about buying or selling a home, or just want to know what might be going on with one of your biggest investments? Then come hang out with us for a little while. Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall, and welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show, sponsored by Bricks Real Estate Network Title. Eric Bloobstrad and Chad Preby with Bell Bank Mortgage, and James Tolfson with Country Financial. If you have any questions for us, give us a call at 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. And you can check us out anytime at brickstwincities.com for the latest and greatest searching and researching tools. Follow us on our Facebook page. Just type in Bricks Twin Cities, Bricks Real Estate. You should probably be able to find us pretty easily there. And you can watch us record live most Tuesdays around the noon hour. Today, we're going to be talking about the important numbers to know when selling a home and breaking down some misnomers about numbers that might not be as important as they sound. You know, every listing appointment, we get addressed with questions about numbers, our numbers, what the market's doing, what is the average price per square foot in the area right now, people running their own comparables, and sometimes it can be tough because of what we've been taught as consumers as to the numbers we should listen to. Mm-hmm. You know, I did a video a while back, which was called a must know before you sell, and discussed in there, you know, a lot of the ads that we see from real estate agents are ads about how fast they sell a home and for how much maybe over list price that they get, and or about commission rates or something like that, right? That's pretty much it. But in that video, I used the analogy of, I was comparing it to like a big store, like a big retailer. You know, just because you sell something fast doesn't mean you got the best price. I mean, a retailer can slash their prices on something and undercut everybody and get very good sales numbers. But does that really make, that store the best store out there, as for customer service and what they ultimately get, right? And so thinking about this in the ways that truly, the numbers that truly matter. So let's kind of start out with that days on market, how quick a home sells. This is kind of a really interesting one because you can find kind of conflicting data on this. I mean, Adam, how often have you seen a property that sits on the market for 30, 45 days and then they end up getting a full price offer? I mean,
it happens quite a bit.
it does,
Absolutely.
right? I actually was just looking through comps the other day, right?
Absolutely. I think that it's a metric that gets overused in terms days on market. Absolutely gets overused. It gets abused. It's something where agents are going to be bragging about their days on market. Well, let's say we have a house that is worth $380,000 and we list it at $330,000.
You're going to sell it very fast in multiple offers and probably get 350, 360.
Or worse yet, how about we put it on, again, $380,000 house, we listed at $330,000 and we take the very first offer that comes along at $330,000. Now, if we'd stayed on the market for another week, we could have had 10 offers, 5 offers, whatever it may be, 3 offers.
Yeah.
But it's in multiple offers, and hopefully then it's, it would be, now, of course, a house shouldn't be listed at $330,000 if it's worth $380,000. That's a error in my opinion, but that's a very common error. It happens all the time when the property is not appropriately listed or analyzed. So if that property sells immediately, first offer that comes in, now a seller's going to potentially go around and brag that they sold their offer or their house in one day.
Yeah.
An agent's going to brag that they sold their house in 1 day or 0 days, not less than a full day. But in that case, a seller lost $50,000.
Right.
Is that good? Is that something worth bragging about?
Right.
Now, of course, the seller doesn't necessarily know what their property is worth, and an agent doesn't know what their property is worth without proper exposure.
Exactly.
So it's it's not necessarily a great thing.
Well, and I think you bring up a great point there, which
usually
is thank you. Which is CMA value versus the market, right? That a market, we can do the best that we can do to analyze the market position and be as upfront and honest with seller as possible. But that does not mean the CMA value is the current market value. We can do the best that we can on adjustments based on what we're seeing the market doing. We can try to set ourselves up for success with trying to achieve that best seller net. We'll get to that a little later. But we really don't know until it hits the market, right?
Yep.
We don't know for sure. And it does take a little exposure time.
That's right. And Kirk, with your original example there, the property that sits in the market 30 to 45 days and then gets a full price offer. The reason for that may very well be, each house needs to be looked at individually. You may have a unique home,
And there might not be as many buyers.
which
Yeah.
requires a unique buyer, you can bring the wrong buyers through a property for 30 or 45 days, where that property does not fit that buyer's needs or wants. And then 45 days later, the right buyer walks in and says, "This is it. How much does it cost? Okay, great. I'll buy it. This is my house."
Right.
And so you need to understand that not every house gets approached the same way, and the marketing plan for each house should be different. And so again, when you hear those numbers, are they meaningful? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah,
there are a lot more questions to ask.
One thing that I do with every listing appointment is I use InfoSparks to narrow down the property type as closest that I can, whether it's a condo or a single family, the area that it's in, the price point that it's in, and then look at what actually is the average days on market. Not what the neighbor sold for in 2 days. That could be a fire sale situation. We don't know. We don't know what happened with that neighbor.
Right.
All right? Like you said, Adam, the neighbor could just be bragging, right? We don't know if they really got the money. So we want to look at the real numbers, the true, as much data as we can.
Yep.
And you brought up a great point again, Adam. I'm going to stop segueing with that. You brought up a point, Adam.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
that the showings to pending. That's the other stat that I print off. So I print off days on market for the average for all brokerages for that property type, and then the showings to pending. How long, how many showings on average is it taking for that buyer that's appropriate for that market to come through? So therefore, you're setting real, true expectations, which then may allow you to reach that true bestseller net. You know, I think when you look at a market like ours, where you have a lot of homes selling in 2 or 3 days, quite often, that can set a bad expectation because you may have a lot of agents that just aren't understanding how to run a market analysis. They're looking at last year's numbers, so they're underpricing. Maybe they're not doing the best pricing structure as far as, you know, bracketed pricing, or there's all these different things that may not be taken into consideration. So really having as much data as you can before making that decision of where to list at. Here's a dangerous one, is looking at a neighbor's house and that price per square foot that somebody's getting. This is, I see you shaking your house.
Every time I hear price per square foot,
it's almost always being used
my eyes
wrong.
just start rolling back in my head. I want to curl up in a ball and go to sleep for a long, long time.
So the price per square foot, where it's dangerous, is that when you try to use it on an individual property, it almost always gets blown out of proportion. It is a great indicator if you're dealing with 10, 20, 30, 50, 100. The more homes that you can use it for, the better and better it becomes to use as a data point. So where I'll use it is how much is the average price per square foot up in a particular city, right? Not what the neighbor's house sold for, right? Because we don't necessarily know, unless you know every feature that property had. Every house is so individual.
Right. Absolutely.
Right?
On a microscopic level, it's pretty well useless, except for maybe in new construction.
Yeah, new construction or condos sometimes if you have very, very similar. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Again, if you have any questions for us, you want to ask us some questions about putting your home on the market, you want to see the numbers, feel free to reach out to us, 651-303-0019. We'll be right back.
How's your egg timer doing?
It's my turkey timer.
A turkey timer?
Yeah.
Seems like it's working.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is.
Up to about 140 degrees there.
Yep. We're good. It feels like it in here. It's a little humid today.
Check the vent.
Yeah, I'm checking it. It's coming out of there. All right, you guys ready? Here we
Ready.
go. Welcome back to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show on AM 950. If you have any questions for us, give us a call. 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. You know, I did a terrible job of introducing you guys at the beginning of the show. I mean, I said, my brother, but I didn't actually introduce you. So, yes, in studio today for those listening on radio versus watching on Facebook. My brother, Adam Duckwall. Thank you for coming in. And Chad Preby, even though I mentioned you in the intro, I didn't say
Thanks
you were
for that.
here.
Yeah,
So.
I'm here.
Yeah. Today we are talking about the important numbers to know when selling a home. Kind of breaking down some misnomers regarding days on market, price per square foot. We're going to talk about that a little bit more here in a second. I want to touch on this percent of original price received. You talked about undercutting the market as far as days on market in the last segment, Adam, where, maybe a person puts it on, underprices it to keep those days on market low. And we're talking about the agent doing this, right, for their own benefit, not for the seller's benefit, but the benefit of selling it quick so they can have a good stat under their belt. Well, this is another one, percentage of original price received, the same thing, right? They undercut the market so that way they can go in, get it into multiple offers, sell it for 5 or 10 grand over original list price, and it looks like they're the savior. Right? Oh my gosh, I'm the hero. I got 5 grand, 10 grand over. Well, what if they underpriced it by $25,000, $30,000, right? And I think you do have to give every property, and I will say, you take it on an individual basis, right? Each home you got to look at individually. But I think, good market exposure is probably 2 to 3 days at a minimum, typically, to get a good idea. That first weekend, to see what really is coming in.
Which days makes a difference too. Because if you're putting it on, you list a house on a Monday, and it's coming off the market on Wednesday or Thursday, never saw a weekend.
You brought up a great point again. I didn't have this number. I'll give you credit on that one. That's a number we didn't have written down for today's show. But the difference between listing on a Monday, do you know you get 40% more showings listing on a Wednesday or Thursday?
Yeah, and those are the days I always shoot for.
Yeah.
So what determines days on the market? So is that when the property
house hits the MLS? Yeah, okay. And then you do get a day 0, which is the day you hit. Okay. So that's day 0, and then the next day will be day 1, 2, and 3.
So these pre-listing things that are going on, which I don't know if it's good or bad, right? But
it's not accumulating market time.
Right. So if you have that pre-listing situation going on, then it hits the market, being that you've already had that exposure as an agent, you sell that house 1, 2, 3 days. That again makes
that can be
yeah. You can
it's kind of tactical, right? I guess if you want to look.
You can build a snowball effect with that. You're getting the marketing starting early. And just recently our MLS started allowing us to do that on their system with Coming Soon. It's been available through tools like Zillow and Trulia for a while. But yeah, it can be a good asset. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say, have I sold and put a home under contract in day 1? Yeah, I have, when that offer was 20 G's over asking, and when I did the analysis, that showed that was a very, very good offer, you know, and you don't necessarily always want to lose a really good offer by holding out that 3 days. But if you're dealing with offers that are coming in and each one is a little bit higher, give it a little time and do that multiple offer deadline and see where you can drive it.
Absolutely. I think typically it's inexperienced agents that can get bowled over by an agent that's pressuring them from the buy side, where an agent comes in, writes an offer, and it says, here is a
24-hour response
here's
time.
a response time or expiration, and they'll write a full price offer or maybe slightly over, and the seller now who is looking at an offer going, okay, this offer is going to evaporate in 24 hours and it's full price. Why wouldn't I take it? Well, the why wouldn't I take it answer is, well, because it might be worth $20,000-$30,000 more than that.
And more than likely that other offer is not going to go away.
Well, of course it's not going to go away. And that's the where an experienced agent should be counseling their client, saying, look, if this buyer, if their offer were to disappear in 24 hours and 72 hours later or 48 hours later you come back and said, I know you had an offer expiration, but we will take your offer. And if that buyer were to say, well, based on principle, we're not going to buy your house now because our offer expired. You are obviously dealing with somebody who is so mentally unstable that buyer could never possibly make it through the rigors of a real estate transaction.
That's so true.
Absolutely no way.
I have seen.
You don't want to work with.
Wouldn't have. Yeah, that was not a real offer to begin with. If it disappeared,
I've seen principle get in the way of a lot of good homes going to a lot of good people that didn't have necessarily good counseling on the other side, right? So, you want to take each situation and analyze it. But yeah, more than likely those offers aren't going to just disappear if you're at least having good communication with them.
Absolutely.
Right. So I mentioned briefly in the last segment that the market analysis value isn't necessarily market value, right? And so if you are picking your agent based on how much they're telling you your home is worth, that's maybe a thing you want to look at, right? Because you don't truly know what it's going to be worth until you come onto the market. The way you want to pick an agent is how honest and upfront are they with you? Are they showing you what appears to be good and accurate data? And what marketing are they going to provide, right? That is what is going to determine the seller net, right? And to you, that's the number that matters. Days on market, maybe it matters depending on your timeline. So that's something to discuss. Everybody has, a time they need to sell something. But if it's the difference between a week versus a day, and that can get you an extra 20 G's, I'm guessing you're probably going to hold out more than likely.
Right.
So take a look at their marketing plan. And whoever has that best marketing plan and who's being honest, have them maybe show you a few examples. That's probably the trusted agent to go with.
I agree with all that. And one other point on the market analysis that an agent is bringing to you, question the number that they come up with, be it high, low, or right in your expectation range. Ask them, how did you come up with this? Where show me the comparables that you used to come up with this, and how do those comparables relate to my property?
Absolutely.
Make sure that they're actually looking at that and not just plucking a number out of the air, because you would be surprised at how often that actually happens.
Well, what's funny is some sellers want that. Well, shoot from the hip. What's my place worth? Are you kidding me? A multi-$100,000 transaction, shoot from the hip?
Real estate is an ego-driven business, and you can look around and just look at the billboards, and you can see that is true. And what a lot of agents will do is walk into a property and go, well, I think it's worth about this. That's worthless, or excuse me.
That's true.
That is worthless. That's useful approximately 0% of the time.
They haven't done any research.
Now, I mean, there may be a example of somebody who understands a condo building so well that they understand that the units on this side facing this direction get approximately this amount of value, in relation to their height in the building, et cetera. If you have it dialed into that level, somebody may be able to do a hip shot that's somewhat useful. Okay, beyond that, absolutely not.
Yeah, take your time, do that analysis.
Asking somebody what they think it's worth when they're walking through seeing the property, no agent has any idea.
Right.
In reality,
right?
They need to know. They need to know exactly what the square footage is.
Yeah, they're just trying to sell you.
Right.
They
telling you what you want to hear.
They need to know the square footage, the bedroom count, bathroom count. They need to do all these things and run it through a market analysis, understand what you've done to it.
I really want to touch on this in our last minute, which is commissions. Okay, so many people want to negotiate on commissions, which is understandable because we think we're supposed to based on billboards that we see and discounts that are offered and this, that, and the other thing. I did an analysis yesterday for this show, which showed the effect that cutting commission will have on the net sale price of homes in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. And what I did is I looked at buyer broker payouts of 2.7 versus 2.5. Now, typically a 2.5 payout may be a discounted payout. The effect was 13% lower on the average price per square foot, which any listener who listens to the show knows. I've run across other numbers like this when we look at poor marketing. Guess what? They tend to go hand in hand. Poor marketing, discounted commission, they aren't spending as much, netting you 13% less. Maybe paying that 1% more is really, really worth it. That's pretty much it for the time for this show. Hopefully you found this information helpful. We'll be back again next week. Give us a call. Any questions? 651-303-0019. Isn't that number a cool number? We're still on Facebook, just so you know. So, yeah, 13%. Yeah, so when I did the analysis, I did one last year, which was looking at the effect of good quality marketing versus poor, and that was at 14%. I bet you I could probably take those properties and go back and look at their payouts, and we'll probably see a trend there where, somebody's doing that discounted commission, which then therefore means they're not spending the money on the marketing that they should probably. And, or they're just trying to put more money in their pocket, one or the other. And yeah, that's a huge, you're talking $200,000, $400,000. That's a lot of money. And I was looking at hundreds and hundreds of homes. And averaged out that difference. So it was $180.65 price per square foot average
I
for
believe
me.
it.
Yep, and then $156.
I absolutely
Yeah.
believe it. Yep.
All right. Well, that's it for this week, Facebook. We'll see you again next week, where I think we're going to do buyers numbers as you're out there looking.
Don't miss out.